What is going on, everyone? It's your guy Cole Jackson back here on Road Graders, and we are going to be diving into the inside linebacker competition, taking a look at some of the depth options, some of the guys that are going to be pushing Trent Simpson for playtime, and looking at the young guns in Jay Higgins and TEDDYE Buchanan. And I want to be clear about this because I don't think it's necessarily a competition for a roster spot between Jay Higgins and TEDDYE Buchanan, but I think what's really important is that Jay Higgins make his case to be on the final 53 either as the fourth linebacker over a guy like Jake Hummel, who they won't keep just for special teams, but also because that's the thing, right? We're kind of in this weird roster spot where they need to keep some special teams guys. That's why they brought Jake Hummel in, who's a special team ace, but you also have to have depth at the inside linebacker position. So it's kind of confusing because Jay Higgins' path to that fifth linebacker spot is going to be more through his defensive play than his special teams play. They're obviously not going to put TEDDYE Buchanan, a fourth round pick, on the practice squad. They'll keep him up, but if TEDDYE Buchanan can show that special teams ability and Jay Higgins forces the Ravens' hands through his defensive play, which is kind of what I'm going to focus on here because I think Jay Higgins is outplaying TEDDYE. And so that's really the path to getting onto this roster. So I know that was a little confusing, but I wanted to give the context that this isn't, just TEDDYE versus Jay for a roster spot. I think I'd be naive to think TEDDYE's not going to be on this team. He most definitely is. So let's get into it. We're going to go through side-by-side comparisons from the Cowboys game. We're going to start with TEDDYE Buchanan in his run D, and then we'll take a look at Jay Higgins. So we're going to start with TEDDYE, and what I want to focus on here is exactly the concern I had with his college tape. I'm seeing it kind of start in the NFL. He's a sideline-to-sideline speed guy. He plays very athletically, but when linemen get their hands on him, he really struggles to get off blocks, deconstruct blocks, and he gets washed in plays. And I'm seeing this play out now through 2 weeks. And Jay Higgins isn't having these issues. So that's where it's like when I'm thinking about the depth at the linebacker spot, or I'm thinking of guys that could push Trent Simpson, that's where I don't know how you don't keep Jay Higgins on this team. So run it through here, TEDDYE Buchanan, number 40, and we'll kind of see what I mean about where he gets pushed off. You're going to get a tray block from the tight end and the right tackle, and then the right tackle is going to climb up to TEDDYE Buchanan, and you see right there, good hand placement by the right tackle, hands are inside, Teddy's hands are high, and he's just going to get washed out. And this is what I'm getting concerned about. He gets completely taken out of this play. And again, good read. He's on the strong side of the field. I think he steps up to either, not necessarily beat the block, make a tackle, but not get complete the center. Backup center Tyler Bass, I believe. So he's going to bang down on the nose here, placing his hands and driving, but you see TEDDYE get washed out of that play. Here we see it again. Same player, TEDDYE, getting washed out. I think he's reading his keys well. So you're going to see just little inside zone play here. TEDDYE needs to step up into the A gap, which he does right there. You see the speed. He reads it well. Good read and react. This is that pin and pull with Mike Green. Mike Green almost makes this play in the backfield. The pulling right tackle, if I go back to the start here, if it'll work with me. It's not going to work with me. Who should be in the backfield making, a tackle, and he just gets washed. This play ends up going for 7 yards. So happening pretty consistently. But I will say, here's that speed. See him beat but the reinforcements come in. There's that sideline to sideline speed. And when he's avoiding the blockers, I think he sets himself up really well. So here you're going to see on the fourth down stop. So this is where Mike Green's going to play that inside leverage on the tight end. And Buchanan comes up and fills well, but he doesn't have to beat a block to do it. But you're going to see. So the concern is when it isn't so much his athleticism. It isn't even so much how he's reading the play. It's more the concern is if he has to deconstruct a block. Now we go to number 49, Jay Higgins. And I don't think he's half. Then you got Jay Higgins coming in. So we're not seeing them against the same linemen, but you see a difference in the physicality. So Jay Higgins, he's playing beside Chandler Martin. 49-48 can be very confusing. Martin right here has the white tape on his arms. That's how I can tell them apart. They're almost identical height and watching. So you're going to see right here, Jay Higgins steps into the gap. First thing he does, that left tackle is climbing to him. He engages the blocker. He engages, pushes off, fills over. right there, in on the tackle. That is the difference to me. So that's the focus. When 71 steps into the center, that they're trying to ace block on 94 here. So they're going to ace block. That means he has to step in. He's going to get his hands on and then jump the gap. I could have called a hold there on that. They both got after the passer pretty well on the one play that I highlighted. And it's something that I'm seeing, move into the next level because he's got that explosive speed, and we know the Ravens want to be able to use their linebackers in the blitz game. It's Higgins making plays. He's knocking the ball out, forcing that fumble. So that's another example of Jay Higgins being a playmaker. And then you look at the pass coverage. That's something that I do think Teddy Buchanan was doing really well. And if you guys watch my film breakdown of his college tape, very much the same situation. I thought he strapped to the running back. You're going to get a crossing route here from that. Is it Loopkey? Loopkey is like their fullback, backup tight end. And he's going to chase here and gap here, and then you're going to see him drop into coverage. Good situational awareness. He's going to jump right in front of that seam from the tight. But he's playing the sticks. So like I said, good spatial awareness, knowing where to drop to play the sticks and force that ball to go down because, he's loud. So you're going to see Sanusi Kane drop down. The catch is going to be to 49. He's one of their backup tight ends. And then Buchanan comes in and makes the tackle. But this is why I have an issue with PFF and how they chart some of the coverage numbers. So again, you're going to get Kane dropping down. So Kane's going to drop down here. You got TJ Tampa, and they're playing zone. So they're going to dot the zone. They're going to go cover one. They're going to bring the safety down. But you're going to see right here, Sanusi Kane drifts towards that out route, and Teddy Buchanan's playing leverage on this player. What Sanusi Kane should be doing is dropping down and taking away that out-breaking route because it's dropping into his zone in cover one. Whereas TJ Tampa's got this completely covered. So, in my opinion, Kane should drop in here. I think Buchanan does a good job of splitting the coverage and paying more attention here. So, I think Buchanan got charged with that as a catch allowed, but I wouldn't put that on him. Then we get into Jay Higgins, who I think was also doing some good stuff in pass coverage. Here you're going to see a nice little pass off of the seam route. So, it's just going to be a seam from the tight end up the field. Higgins is going to drop, hand on, pass that off to the safety, and then break on the ball. And that's something that I think he's doing really well. Again, he has good spatial awareness. He doesn't look uncomfortable dropping in coverage. You're going to see here, he's going to pick up that crossing route. So he's going to feel this. The Ravens are in man. You're going to get a crossing route from the tight end here. He's going to step up, play his run fit, and then he's going to drop back off of the play action. So there he steps up, and he's going to feel this crossing route come over top of him in man. So he's in a zone here after he reads the play action, step up, drop into zone, and you see him feel that right there. And the reason I know he feels that is because he opens with his hips out that way to take away that throw and give a little assistance to the slot corner. So again, I think he feels that kind of zone coverage really well. I think he's positioning himself. You can see it right here again. He's going to be in a man coverage against the tight end. He's going to step up, take away any sort of throwing lane, and just fluid movement in coverage. So that's really what I'm seeing. And again, the reason I'm focusing on this so much is because Jay Higgins' path to playing or to making the 53 is really to become the linebacker 3, and then Teddy Buchanan becomes a special teams guy, and if they keep 5 linebackers, then Jake Hummel is also that special teams guy. So that's just my opinion. That's the path Jay Higgins has to make to get to the roster. I think they're going to try and prioritize keeping Hummel. I think they're going to prioritize keeping Teddy because they spent a 4th-round pick on him. But Jay Higgins is showing me, based on his preseason film, and again, there is definitely some competition concerns, but he is currently playing better than both Higgins and Hummel, and that's why I think he should have a roster spot. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown. Hit subscribe if you're new here, and drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this linebacker competition. How many should the Ravens keep, and who should it be? Be good to yourselves, be good to each other. Peace out.